Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again on Celebrating Act Two. As you can see, our special guest today is Herbie J Pilato, a writer, a producer, a performer, really a man of lots of talents. And of course, we know Herbie for years because we've interviewed him about some of the great books he's read. But recently, Herbie, I read an article that you were reflecting on your earlier days, and you were debating with yourself whether you would be able to get back to Hollywood and it succeed. And yet, of course, you did. You've become very successful. And I love that. I love that positive view of getting older. I thought that was terrific.
Well, it's funny because when I was younger, in the 80s and in the 1980s, I was really just the cockiest guy. I don't know if you might have guessed that I would have been cocky, but I was very cocky and confident, and I was ready to tackle the world. Um, but for one reason or another, I cared for my parents, and I was singing, I was dancing, I was acting, I was writing, but nothing was really happening until I sold my original Bewitched book. And that's when I decided to go back to Rochester to care for my parents because I thought, well, if you're a writer, you can write anywhere. And it's not like I went back to care for them because I was going to inherit some massive estate. They didn't have anything, they didn't have any money. I went to care for them because I loved them. And I had never felt that God or the good being that runs the universe would have abandoned me or my goals if I would have cared for my parents and put my life and career on hold, which is essentially what I really did in many ways. Um, but I felt compelled to care for them. And it was because of who they were as human beings that they raised me to be a somewhat compassionate person, that I made that decision. And in caring for them, I became, I think, a nicer person, a kinder person. Not that I was a goof before, but when you care for someone as a primary caregiver for 15 years for both of your parents, it changes you. Now, some people might have become bitter. I didn't become bitter. I loved caring for my parents. And I also remembered, and this wasn't until later, but I remember praying when I was a kid to God and saying, God, if you make me successful, or when you make me successful, make it later in life so that I don't have success early as a child star or whatnot, so that when it's over, I don't know what to do with myself. I mean, I usually, not all the time, but usually, child stars who have so much when they're young get lost later on. Literally, they don't know what to do with themselves, or they turn to drugs or alcohol, or they lead these, horrible lives, and they end up killing themselves sometimes. Again, that doesn't happen with all child stars, but it happens with a lot. Rusty Hammer from the Danny Thomas Show, uh, Dana Plato from Different Strokes, and on and on and on. If they don't kill themselves, they have these horrible, drugged out lives. So I didn't want that to happen to me. But I had forgotten that I had prayed that prayer later in life. I mean, when I was young, I'd forgotten that I prayed that prayer. And ultimately, that's what's happened. God didn't abandon me for caring for my parents. My success came later in life with my books, with my TV show. I was 58 years old when I had my TV show. Then again with Herbie J Pilato. I mean, that was, in a world of young, strapping, talented guys and gals, for me to make it at 58 as a TV star was kind of incredible.
Well,
So,
I think one thing that maybe even you forget to some extent is that you are a constant, wonderful story of reinvention. You started out as a page, as I seem to remember. You've got these wonderful books. One of the favorite ones that I remember interviewing you about is the Sean Connery book. but you've got all the ones on the gadgets and all the age of the golden age of television that you've written about, and you've done some acting, and quite frankly, I'm expecting you to wind up on the screen again as an actor. And I think we spoke about this either privately or maybe publicly. Is that you'd be perfect for the Hallmark Channel? So I'm rooting for you for that. So you're constantly reinventing yourself. Uh, so I know that you made a big sacrifice, not in your mind, but in most other people's minds. Of you gave up a lot of success that you were having to go back home to take care of your folks, and you probably had some doubts whether or not you'd make it again. But boy, not us.
Well, that's very kind of you. But yes, I did have doubts. I mean, how can you not? This is a very negative world. It's a broken world. So anyone with a positive spirit or a positive light tends to really be shunned. So there was that, and the type of projects that I wanted to be involved with or that I wanted to work on were not the edgy, vulgar, violent geared films and TV shows that are popular, or that have become popular in recent times. So that was the other thing. It wasn't just my age. It was, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in those. I don't want to be associated with those kinds of products. So now I really do believe that things are shifting back to family oriented and family geared programming because people are getting tired of the edge and the dark stories. So it just, everything seemed to be coming into place. And in the meantime, to any artist, whatever, whether you're a writer, an actor, or director, you need life experience to breathe life into your projects. Your projects become stronger and filled with more quality because of the life experience that you bring to them. So really, whatever books I've written or whatever scripts I'm now writing, and I plan to be directing as well, those are all going to benefit from my life experience, which would not have happened if I would have made it earlier. There are some people like, I know some child stars are born with talent and they're born. Richard Thomas, for one, God bless Richard Thomas. He was acting since he was a kid, on shows like The Defenders, long before the Waltons. He was a natural talent. So some people have that, and they have those instincts like Chrissy McNichol or I don't know, Kim Darby, people like that. They just know how to do a scene without taking acting classes. They know what to bring to a character without studying the character. That's a rare thing. In general, people have to have experiences, life experiences that they can draw from. So that's what I've gained over the years. And I certainly gained that in caring for my parents. I never listen to negative feedback. I just don't. I never listen to anyone tell me I can't do something. And if they do, it's like I'd say, I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to do it twice. It kind of inspires me to do what they think I can. Usually, if someone tells me that I can't do something, it's what they think about themselves. So not only don't I listen to them, but I say a prayer for them, hopefully, that they will improve their outlook. And really, that's it. And I try not to address any negativity. I'll stop and say, look, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't want to use that phrasing because it's negative. It's just something, there's not enough room in my brain for it, and that's how I've come to learn to live my life. I didn't always live that way. I was bullied as a kid. I was beat up as a kid. I mean, on and on and on. And instead of growing bitter for them from those experiences, my faith grew, in God. And look I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you're Catholic, Christian, Jewish, or Vulcan, as long as you believe in something good and you focus on that and you respect the beliefs of others and don't push your beliefs on others, I'm good with that.
You have a wonderful positive attitude, And I think it applies to everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at you have to, because I believe we come into this world, to learn. And there are dark forces that work against us. I believe that. Whatever you call them, evil, the devil, Satan, whatever. There are dark forces that are work that try to bring you down. And sometimes they show up in the persona of other humans that I believe are possessed, really, in a way, by the negative forces. So you're dealing with all of that. This isn't heaven. This is not heaven. This is pretty much in many ways, the lower part. So you got to be that light, not just for yourself, but for others. And when an idea, and I know we've talked about this before, when an idea comes to you in your head, when an idea is whispered, it is your obligation to fulfill that whisper, that concept. It's your obligation to fulfill it, not just for yourself, but for others who will benefit from it and from God. He gave you those gifts. Now, I can't count, all right? That's not one of my things. I can't play basketball, but I can sing, dance, act, and write. I mean, those are the things that I can do, and that's what I focus on.
Well, Herbie, I have to say that I think your message is for all ages, and that's really terrific, because you're never too old to have a positive attitude, and let's face it, this kind of negatives that you're talking about never go away. They're always
No, they
appealing.
don't, because they're stuck in this world.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, at any age, no matter what your age is, I didn't even think about, I still don't really, I don't think about my age. I certainly wasn't thinking about it when I was doing my show. I'm just like, I'm just going to do this, and I've always been, the other part of it is you have to take care of your health. You have to cater to it. You can't be drinking alcohol every day. You can't be having donuts and crap food every day. You can't have processed foods. This is the only body you have, you know, and your positive thoughts work together with your physical terrain, which is your body, and it all works together. So there's that too.
Now, Herbert J., so do you have anything on the immediate horizon that we can look to? Anything you
Well,
can share? Anything you can share with us?
I have a new book coming out called Car Poetry in Motion, comedic verse for the autoactive reader. I know it's not like anything I've ever done before, and people are like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because I want to do it, because it's so
Good.
different. So it's the first book to combine cars, humor, and poetry, which I think is kind of cool. And then I've started writing scripts. I've got a script that's completed, I'm very proud of. I'm going to be producing it and directing it myself. And so I'm probably going to be starring in it, or at least doing a cameo in it. And at one point, I think the last time we talked, I kind of told you guys I was done with books regarding the entertainment industry, but I
Hmm.
thought of a couple ideas that I think I'd like to do. So I guess I'm not done with it. I guess I
Okay.
just took some time off from it.
So do us a favor, if when as you're now reaching after the stars again, if you need an entourage, okay? I eat non-processed foods. Um, John loves donuts, so
Yeah.
between the two of us, we can get you to a healthy spot.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not against having a donut or a cupcake every once in a while, but our health is based on what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If you're having that donut every day, if you're using toxic chemical cleaners to clean your home, it's not going to work out for you. Okay, it's just not. It's just not. So a cupcake every once in a while is fine, and as long as you bless your food. And I was invited to a family picnic. I'll never forget this. I was invited to a family picnic, and there was a lot of red meat, chicken, crabs, lobster, all that stuff. And I'm like, geez, I don't know if I could eat that. I'm saying to myself, but I didn't want to insult my host either, because that's rude. Oh, I can't eat that. I'm sorry. I don't. Just shut up, be nice, and be pleasant, and be happy with the invitation that this person gave you. And a cousin of mine told me at this particular picnic, all food is healthy when it's served with love. So there's
Yeah,
that.
I
You
like
see?
that.
So I ain't going to be insulting anybody. If I go to a house that I'm invited to a party and there's nothing but red meat, I'm not going to call the host over and say, I'm sorry, but
Sure.
I don't eat red meat. That's just mean, and rude. And it would, no matter how healthy you are, that's not going to be good for your persona or your mind.
Well, we look forward to a healthy Herbie J Pilato continuing to reinvent himself. And I'm looking forward to the uh, poetry book of cars. Poetry book of cars. Wow.
Car poetry in motion.
Car
And we'll,
poetry.
we'll be talking to you before that, I'm
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. You were great. I love you guys. You do so much for every community, seniors, young, whatever. You've got the positive attitude. I see it every day. And certainly, as you know, you're always such wonderful hosts yourself. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.